Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, December 3rd. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. TGIF, everyone. All right, well, let's start off the day today by looking at this little channel that Donkey pointed out a few days ago. We've been bouncing around in. So the way we think about a channel is we think about it a lot like a balancing area, right? So the idea is that we're going to just continue to go from one end to the other until we successfully break out one direction or the other, break out to the upside or break out to the downside. And while we're doing it, while we're bouncing between the two ends, we are actually balancing the market. And so balance leads to excess. So if we get a breakout to the upside or downside, we can expect some excess there. So on the upside, let's say today we push higher. We get a little bit of excess above this trend line down. We pull back and we find support. Okay. We could look for the market to start to trade higher. Balance leads to excess. We can look for excess to the upside. But if it fails, if we look above and we fail and we pull back in, we head down to the opposite end of balance. Literally, this is like scary how textbook that is, that we looked above, failed, pulled back in, and then literally just instantly traded to the opposite end. I mean, that's just crazy. But that's what they did here as well. Pretty much almost instantly traded right to the other end. So that's a really important key level to keep an eye on this morning. What happens with this down trend line? Okay. Looking at the market profile, we're opening right at the high of yesterday. So obviously if we open, we got like 2 minutes till the open. If we open a little bit above, the first thing will be the gap fill. And then we'll look for support around yesterday's high. If we open inside the range or even right on the high where we currently are, we'll look for it to pull down and get some support in this node of volume up here from yesterday, which would be at right about 87. Keeping in mind that we're pushing up against that trend line. So if we find support here and we start to trade higher, we could potentially be breaking through that trend line, looking to go higher, and then probably come back down and find some support somewhere. That support would be buyable for continuation higher. Okay. We did leave behind a weak pullback low in the M period yesterday. So there's some smaller than average probability that needs to be repaired. But I certainly wouldn't get too obsessed thinking about it. As far as which is a higher probability up or down today, I honestly couldn't tell you. It's anybody's ball game at this point. Overnight inventory is net long, but only slightly net long. So we expect some kind of counter auction to that, some kind of push lower. And, how the market reacts, how it finds support will give us some insights. But until then, we got to kind of just wait and see. I will say getting above and staying above the 50 moving average yesterday is somewhat bullish to see. So that's a first clue that larger traders may have stepped in here looking for continuation higher. Market is open, small gap up. So the gap fill is the first target. Need to get just a few ticks lower to 45.94 and then look for support around there. Okay, there's the gap fill. That was quick. They did just repair that weak reference we left behind from the first. There's one more weak reference above. All right, no support at yesterday's high. So the next stop is going to be this node of volume below, which starts at about 87. So we'll look for support in there. Let's jump over and see where the Q is at. Okay, so the Q is back up in its balancing area. So we'll be looking for support right around that balance area low. It doesn't have to be exact, right? But we're looking to stay in balance. So right around that 15,996 level. We'll be looking to bring in some support there, which would be bullish for a trade to the opposite end of balance. So the ES is back above that trend line. So now what we want to see happen is we want to see the market find support above that trend. Right? We don't want to see this again. We don't want to see the market come back in to the range, get resistance, because that will lead to further downside continuation. What we'd rather see now is it comes down and finds support. If it does, from there, it could get very bullish for excess to the upside. Same thing on the NQ. It's just breaking into a balancing area, but it's the same general principle, right? Let me just zoom out to the daily. So you got this balancing area here. Once you break back into it, right? You come in, you test the top, you go down, you test the bottom, you go back, you test the top, you look above and fail, send you back down to the bottom, you go back, you test the top, you look below and fail, guess where it's sending you? Opposite end. So both of these scenarios are extremely bullish for upside continuation if we can hold this morning. Can we do it? That is the question. S&P Attic, ahoy to you. Philip, good morning. RK, good morning. Likes for Charles. Yes, please, likes for Charles. I'd sure appreciate that. Kevin, good morning to you. S&P Attic, yes. I love this. Let's start the like conversation first thing. Vincent, good morning to you. Futures Trader, good to see you. Welcome. J Trader back with us. Steven, welcome to you. All right, so now we're testing yesterday's high. Can we find support? So at this point, we want to keep these ticks above the zero line. They needed to absorb that overnight inventory, which was a little bit net long. But now it's time for the buyers to step in. Jose, good morning. David Glass, good to see you. Trading Donkey, I want to see it. Laugh out loud. I don't know what he's referring to. Something I said. Jardolol. I cannot say that name. Welcome to you. Sanju, good morning. JG with the GM. Good to see you. Overlord 3000 back with us. Welcome. Amir, good morning to you. All right, Kajax, you got it. It's so much easier for me. Phoenix, good morning to you. Mediterra looks like a one-finger salute. What looks like a one-finger salute? The NQ? I can kind of see that. Solipitists, good morning to you. Welcome. Ray Miller from Earth City, Missouri today. Oh, you really do get around. Nunez, good to see you. Feels like support is becoming resistance. They're looking for a little pullback here. ES doesn't have far to go to find support in this node from yesterday. So I would get bearish on the Q if we get below, say, 15,938. As that will be looking into that balancing area and failing. But we'll give the buyers a chance here. On the ES, I'd call that same area like 74, 75. If it starts to break below there, it's definitely going to go repair that weak M period low. Looking for further continuation from there. Solipsist. Jesus. Solipsist Jesus, that's how you pronounce it? Got it. Cotton Dog, internal check or too early? No, it's not too early. Looks good. I mean, well, no, let me take that back. The breadth and the advancers versus decliners look a little bearish. But the ticks on the nicey look okay. So the pull down was to absorb the long overnight inventory. But the staying above the zero line is a sign that buyers are stepping in. Or maybe not. Donkey says, think we're going down to 4,500. 4,500. I mean, I reckon if we get down there, we're probably going to the 100 daily SMA. Let's see where that is. $44.80. Literally right on the fill of that gap. Okay, sellers seem to be in control. So we're at the very bottom end of our potential support here. If they can't hold it up here, we're looking to repair this weak M period low at 45.66. And then looking for continuation lower from there. Solipsist. Can't you people just forgive me? I can't say a name every now and then. Jardal Lol says he's holding puts, looking for some more blood. Well, it's too early to make that call yet today, but if, as we talked about this morning with that trend line, you know, That's a version of a balancing area. So if we failed to get above it this morning, this is another look above and fail. What's happened the last 2 times we looked above and failed? So we could get another big red candle just like that. But it's a little too early to make that call. So now we're looking for this area that was resistance before to act as resistance again, right around the halfback, 45.90. Do we reject off of that, or can we break back through? All right, more resistance. Bearish. Yep, ticks trending down. The bears have it for the moment. So the first reference to repair is going to be that weak M pullback low at 45.66. David V, good morning to you. Cotton Dog, is there a difference between a diagonal balance area and a channel? Nope, they're exactly the same. Just different words for the same thing. Donkey, is it too early to make the call? We looked above and failed. Short with stop above trend line, right? No, you're right. That's a fair trade to get into. Absolutely. Just too early for me to make the call that we're going to have a massive sell-off today. But certainly nothing wrong with shorting the pass back through the opening price today. Only thing giving you minor pause is overlapping to higher value. Yeah. But if the market continues lower, we'll pull that value down. Jitting, I'm flat. Think I'm growing as a trader. Fair enough. Kajax, any news or meetings today? It's a good question. I don't think so. Well, of course, news, we never know. That could come out at any moment. Okay, so we repaired that weak pullback low. Not a lot of support between us and the 50 right now, so that's probably the market's next target. But they are starting to get themselves a little bit oversold. So they might get a push back higher looking for resistance before they get down there. Jesus Christ. It is shocking how textbook that is. The second it failed. Screwball, it's panic. Yeah, I mean, not really. It's, of course it is panic. That's what, selling like this is. But the tempo of it, at least, well, right now it's starting to get there, but the tempo of it on the way down was very like calm. It's just people getting short, positioning themselves little by little. Now we're starting to get a bit of a liquidation. Cotton dog, yeah, no doubt. Danielle, good morning to you. All right, at the moment that resistance is holding. So it does feel like the next thing is the test of the 50 daily moving average. Like any other moving average, it is a semi-permeable membrane. The more times you poke at it, the weaker and weaker it gets. We have poked at it the last 2 days in a row, and we'll be poking at it again today. Poke there, poke there. So let's see if it can hold once again, or if today is the day it breaks. I don't think we're going to get there now, but there is a level with only 150 contracts that will need to be backfilled at some point today. Or not today, at some point in the future. But it doesn't look like we're going to get back up there right now. Cotton Dog Highway to Hell. Brian's long. I think you're a hair early, Brian. I do think we're going to tap, at the very least, tap that 50. We may find support there, but it would seem strange to me to get that close to it and not at least test it. He says, no. Not early. Oh, that's great. Donkey talking about value. Look at how quickly it changed, my man. That's the tricky thing about value. Now overlapping to lower. Adventure DJ long in the queue. Yeah, I think you guys are putting too much faith on previous lows. You're ignoring momentum. Unless you're just taking a quick bounce. Like if it's just like a quick scalp trade, then that's fine. But to me, attempting to get back into a balance area and failing means we did not get enough excess the last time. This wasn't far enough to bring in the buyers, so we need to go lower. The momentum is to the downside. But it does look like the Q is trying to build support. But just imagine when all these longs piling in here, when they start to get squeezed. Quick little pop down. I've been doing a lot of whistling today. Sorry about all the whistling. I don't know where that came from. Chris Lee, is there a difference between value following price and price following value? Well, value always follows price, right? Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Value is always going to follow price. It just gives you an indication of how far price is getting ahead of itself, right? So when you're way below the value area, probably the market is getting itself overly short and they need to pull back up into value, and vice versa to the upside. Um, but the value area is just showing you where 70% of the day's trade. So if price goes down and trades down, value will come with it. And if it doesn't, well, there's your signal that it's not going to stay down. Another like very nuanced point that I've come to realize recently is like when the value area is butting right up against the low or the high of the day, it usually means the market needs to get below there. Almost like it needs excess from value. Like it needs to get a little bit overly short. So as long as you keep dragging it like this, you're going to just keep going. Arthur, what does a scalp trade mean? It just means it's a trade that you're getting in very, very quickly and getting out of very quickly, right? So right now you might take a scalp trade from price just to the 50 moving average. You're just looking for a point real quick. Boom, boom, and then you're out. That's a scalp trade. And it's a different mentality of looking at the markets and thinking about how they're moving, as opposed to trying to have a better understanding of where the market might move over the next hour or two. You're literally just minute by minute. Where's the market going to go right now? So another scalp trade would have been to buy. It didn't quite get there. It missed it by a tick. But to buy that low. Boom. Just looking to grab whatever little bounce you get. Get out real quick. That is a scalp trade. And there are people that can make a lot of money doing that. But it is highly stressful. All right. Buyers are starting to defend that 50. Can't believe they missed it by like a tick. Little front runners happening here. So now if they hit resistance and the ticks start to pull back below the zero line, They're going to have to go back down and test it again. Boom, push into it. Okay, there's the resistance. So it looks like they need to push into it once more. Skewball, in my opinion, it's interesting place to take long on NQ. But if ES will move down. I'm not sure I understand that. So you think if the ES keeps selling off, you should go long the Q? I'm not sure I really understand that logic. Skewball. Okay. That was very confusing. If the NQ will go up, NQ should too. I get you. Yeah, so if the ES finds support there and starts to trade higher, the NQ should go with it. Yeah, I can get behind that. Any gaps or poor lows? No, unfortunately, I haven't really been tracking that stuff on the NQ, so I don't have anything on my chart. But I'll leave it up to the chat. You guys have any references to the downside on the NQ? All right, buyers are starting to defend. They're working their way back through the resistance. If they can get above this node that ends at 45.64, they'll almost certainly go back to backfill that level with only 140 contracts. That's right at the halfback. So there to there could be a pretty solid opportunity. Adventure DJ, what is LTF? Longer time frame. Gotcha. Brian, loving his call now to buy. You were early, though. I wasn't wrong. Well, I mean, talking about levels, though, where would longer time frame traders want to buy? They did it 2 days ago. They did it yesterday. Miles would consider this low a poor low. No, I wouldn't. Um, it is very suspicious to me, though, that they didn't at least get a few ticks through there. But if they can keep this going, oh well, there you go. They're losing the ticks already. I was going to say if they can keep the ticks trending higher and above the zero line, they could push it back up towards halfback, looking for resistance up there. But they're already starting to lose the ticks. Donkey saying the longer term traders are waiting for that 200 daily. Could be. I mean, there has to be somebody stepping in here over the last couple days. But it's just a question of did they take profits up in here? Did they change their mind and take profits? I did find it interesting how, if you watched clips from CNBC on Wednesday, all of the talking heads were saying, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, Christmas rally, buy the dip. And then yesterday, they all flipped a switch and were like, this thing's going lower. Well, we're not ready for the Christmas rally yet. Well, we're still going to get it, but this thing's going lower. You have to fade Jim Cramer on everything. I know. I love Jim Cramer, but if you just some people have done that. They've taken all of his calls and then shown what happens on the chart. He's not a great indicator. Uh, Alpha Trader, you think Jim's taken over? Well, he's just the old, he's the seasoned veteran. So people always respect the seasoned veteran. But one thing you could say about Jim Cramer, he does have a lot of contacts. Like, he's constantly on the phone with very important CEOs and stuff getting insights. So I like Jim Cramer. I wouldn't take a trade based on anything he says, but I like to hear it. All right, well, we're kind of bouncing around between support and resistance here. Market's trying to make up its mind on the short term. I still remain bearish. I think we at the very least need to retest the 50 daily, if not go lower. But I'm going to just switch the banner because we're done in 5 momentos. Kevin, yeah, the power hour refers to the last hour of the day. At least that's the way I've always heard it. But no, I've never seen any patterns. I think it's very random. I think sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down. And I know that's very unsatisfactory to hear. But I think market moves are random. Well, the bulls are making their stand. Got the advancers versus decliners back above zero. Ticks on both indices back above zero. Or they were for a second there. So they're trying. They're definitely trying. Momentum is still to the downside. Values overlapping to lower. So that's neutral to bearish. Moving forward today, I would say if they come back down to this 50 moving average, they can push through it a little bit. But if they don't pull back up shortly after, we're likely to get further downside continuation. And my target would be that 100 daily moving average, which is also right at a gap fill, 44.79.75. That'd be the area I'd be watching. If we get back through the 50, once more. And like I said, if they can get back above this B period high, if the bulls can keep pushing and get above 65, they're almost certainly going to head up to 72 because we got that level with only 150 contracts there and the halfback. But that halfback could present potential resistance. So from there to there is a pretty safe play, but then you got to watch what happens. And with that, I shall wish everyone a happy weekend. I hope you make lots of money today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend and you get some partying on and some rest and relaxation on and some coming back on Monday ready to kick ass and take names. If you're in the Brigade, I shall see you in the private stream soon. If you're not, link in the description. Join on up. All the cool kids are doing it. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.